Chapter 5. We're hearing from Grace Atwater again. When I breathe in, I breathe in. When I breathe out, I breathe out. Ivory's voice is melted butter as she guides our meditation. That's what beginners have to do. Concentrate on deep breathing. Otherwise, our minds go all over the place. The breathing part isn't that important. The main goal is to empty the mind, and that's a lot harder than it sounds. Have you ever tried to go even a minute without thinking about anything? It's almost impossible. So Ivory gets us to concentrate on breathing to lock everything else out of our brains. When I breathe in, I breathe in. I'm a little more advanced since Mom and I come here every summer. I don't need to recite the words in my head anymore. I just focus on my breathing, and pretty soon the outside world melts away. I can hear my heart beating, and I feel the blood pumping through my veins and arteries. I'm in perfect touch with not just my body, but my entire being. I'm whole. Meditation is one of the 3 pillars of Magnus's philosophy at the Oasis, along with good nutrition and physical exercise. I love it. But, oops, I'm not supposed to be thinking about anything right now. When I breathe out, I breathe out. The only time I'm more relaxed than during meditation is when I'm on the back of my dad's motorcycle. He has this 3000cc Harley, and he sometimes takes me riding since Mom refuses to go anywhere near it. It's the main compromise in our family. Dad has his bike, and Mom and I have the Oasis, and Benito has the heating vent in the downstairs bathroom where he's allowed to nap in the winter, even though it blocks the heat to the point where the toilet seat feels like a ring of solid ice. The back of a motorcycle may not seem like a very calm place, with the roar of the engine and the wind whipping at you, but I love it. Dad says I'm a speed freak. There's something about pure acceleration, like you've sprouted booster rockets that'll send you hurtling forward. You feel alive, but also relaxed because your mind just shuts down. It's definitely a guilty pleasure because, let's face it, Dad's Harley isn't exactly environment friendly. I'd be more comfortable on something electric, or at least hybrid, which would be more fuel efficient. Uh-oh, I'm doing it again. When I breathe in, I breathe in. Today might be the best meditation class ever since Jet didn't show up. He's so bad at meditation that he ruins it for the rest of us. And he isn't just bad at it like poor Tyrell, who's too itchy to sit still and sniffles from the electric vaporizer that pumps incense-scented mist into the air. We don't burn real incense since that produces carbon, and Magnus is against that. But Jet is too much of a jerk to give meditation a fair try. He yawns and fake snores, and just when you get to a really deep place in your own meditation, he starts hollering for someone to call an ambulance because he's pulled a muscle from sitting in the lotus position. For sure, Ivory doesn't like him very much, and Brandon hates his guts after the pedal boat incident. I suppose there are a few kids like Tyrell who are still fascinated by the fact that his dad's rich and famous. In the end, though, it's hard to be too psyched about a guy who keeps spoiling everything for everybody. See, Jet isn't even here, and I'm ruining my meditation by thinking about him. And a deep breath as we return to this place and this moment. Ivory ends the session. How was everybody's experience? I was a little bit scattered today, I confess. There's something about meditation that makes me want to be 100% honest. Thank you for your openness, the meditation pathfinder approves in her rich voice. There can be no inner peace without truth. I don't always understand the things Ivory says, but they sound so good. She's the most impressive woman I've ever met. My secret dream is to grow up just like Ivory. Although the height part might not be realistic. Not a lot of girls get to be 6'4", and I'm definitely not pretty enough to carry the buzz cut. But I can still work on being like her inside. No one else at the Oasis is so whole, except maybe Magnus. I can't wait till I'm old enough to do the special meditation the adults do. Mom won't say much about it except how transformational it is, and that it might be a little too much for a 12-year-old. The word she always uses is vivid. I can't help but be intrigued. The more Mom describes the one-on-one session, the more convinced I am that I'm ready. Maybe if I'm really successful in this class, Ivory will bump me up to the next level. Before that happens, though, I'm going to have to learn to clear my mind of Jet Baranov. Tyrell and I are on the main path back towards the cottage when we see them. Strangers standing out in the Oasis, but 2 men in FedEx uniforms also happen to be lugging an enormous, bulky package, wheeling it along on a hand truck. What's that? Tyrell wonders out loud. I stare. The thing is covered in brown paper, but the wrapping is torn at the top, and I can see what the giant mystery item is. It's a full-size Dance Dance Revolution machine. the kind they have in video arcades. Tyrell's eyes pop. We're getting a Dance Dance Revolution? It must be a mistake, I conclude. Magnus would never bring an arcade game into the oasis. He might, Tyrell argues. It's great exercise. That's one of the 3 pillars, you know. No way, I scoff. It breaks the no screens rules. It's flashy, it's loud, it's the opposite of everything the oasis stands for. Nobody could be whole with that kind of racket going on. He shrugs. Only one way to find out. Let's see where they deliver it. We follow the FedEx guy past the dining hall towards the clusters of cottages. We exchange a bewildered glance. All the main buildings are behind us. Where could this thing possibly be going? The FedEx men stop at cottage number 29 and unload their burden. I gawk. Right next to 2 other packages that are almost as big. One is a jet ski. The other is a 4-wheeled ATV with giant balloon tires. Who lives here? I demand in amazement. Tyrell sniffs the air. If I didn't know better, I swear I smell meat. We approach the open window and peer inside. Laid out on the dining room table is a mountainous barbecue platter accompanied by several long loaves of bread. Seated there, mouth wide as a cavern, about to take an enormous bite, is Jet. Drop that sandwich, I bellow. Jet looks up, spots us in the window, and smiles. Come on in, you guys. There's plenty for everybody. You're disgusting, I snarl. But Tyrell is already halfway through the door of the cottage. I grab him. Where do you think you're going? I thought maybe I'd just have a couple of bites. Help yourself, Jet invites him, his mouth full. We've got pulled pork, brisket, roast turkey, burnt ends. You've got barbecue sauce on your chin, Tyrell says wistfully. That's not allowed here, I rage. Untrue, Jet tells me, his face smug. The dining hall doesn't serve meat, but show me where it says you can't bring in your own. Turns out there's this awesome barbecue place in Hedge Apple, just a few miles up the river. And guess what? They deliver. I'm looking at him through red haze. Do they also deliver jet skis and Dance Dance Revolution machines? Well, not the barbecue joint. I got that stuff through Fuego Prime, all except the fireworks. They came from lightupthenight.com. Don't worry, he adds, spying my stricken face. You can use all my stuff. Everybody can. Well, maybe not the Buckholes kid. He's not the friendly type. You've got fireworks? Tyrell echoes. Jet inclines his head, and we follow his gaze into the room, where there are 2 large boxes hidden under the bed. For the 4th of July, he explains. Or maybe I'll save them for a special occasion, like when Nimbus wises up and kicks me out. I'm so angry I can't even look at him. When I turn away, I see lanky Brooklyn Feldman at the far end of the path, peering at the huge packages. Maybe it's her thick glasses, but she makes me think of a CIA agent focusing on a crucial piece of evidence. She's always like that, as if she knows something no one else does. It's okay, I call to her. It's just a misunderstanding. Brooklyn walks on, but she seems confused. I don't blame her. A jet ski, an ATV, and an arcade machine are about as out of place at the oasis as a giant oil derrick pumping crude out of the ground next to the bath. I wheel back around on Jet. What do you mean by .com? How can you order from the internet? We're totally unplugged. He raises his arms in a gesture of innocence. What are you saying? Don't try and deny it. You've got to tell. When you're covering up something sleazy, you blink too fast. It's a dead giveaway. He looks stricken at being called out, which only makes the blinking speed up. His eyelids flutter like butterfly wings. Actually, he confesses, some of us might be a little bit plugged. He reaches into the pocket of his shorts and gives us a glimpse of a sleek, glassy object. A phone? I howl. There are no phones here. Well, there's at least one, Tyrell points out. Suddenly, Jet looks away from us and focuses on his sandwich, chomping and chewing. At the same time, he grabs a handful of meat from the platter and crams it into the side of his mouth. I'm trying to figure out what to do when there are footsteps on the path behind me and a man's voice says, "Where did all this stuff come from?" We step away to let Matt in through the front door. His attention snaps from the merchandise outside to the sight of his charge stuffing his face with Contraband barbecue. I have no respect for Jet, but I have to be impressed with how quickly he manages to swallow down that enormous mouthful of food and come up smiling. Oh, hi, Matt. Hope you're hungry. Matt is almost as disgusted as I am. You're like a toddler and capable of thinking 5 seconds into the future. What do you think your father will say when he finds out about this? Jeff shrugs. Vlad's dream is a connected world where anybody can order anything delivered anywhere. Presto! His vision is a reality, and it's delicious. Matt reaches down and plucks the phone out of Jet's pocket, muttering, and how's he supposed to feel about the fact that his son's a thief now instead of just a rotten kid? You can't steal what's already yours, Jet defends himself. You're not supposed to have this, and you know it. You're also not supposed to have barbecued meat, and that goes double for jet skis and a giant arcade game. It's all going back, and the food is going in the garbage. Matt seems a little less certain when he's saying the last part. Both he and Tyrell can't stop staring at the meat platter. Even though I'm a vegetarian, I kind of understand. Guys can be such carnivores. That's the main reason Dad stays home with Benito every summer instead of coming to the oasis with Mom and me. Nutrition is the most important of the 3 pillars, I offer, quoting Magnus. No one needs to survive by eating our fellow creatures. The most human thing we can do is surrender our position at the top of the food chain. I have to admit, it sounds better when Magnus explains it. Anyway, I doubt they even hear me. Tyrell is practically drooling and Matt's resistance seems to be wavering. I get away from there fast. If I stick around to see what happens next, I'll be honor bound to report it to Magnus, and I'm no tattletale. As I round the corner of the cluster of cottages, I see Brooklyn on the far side of the meditation center, looking on with interest.